of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you so much for doing that. Also, thank you for joining us tonight. We got a full agenda, things that we're gonna go ahead and take care of. I really want to take the time right now before we get started and thank Virginia. Appreciate everything and getting this all set up and taking care of us. Matt, thanks for getting us lined up, also for the opportunity. So that works out really good. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for visitors and citizens' comments. This is a section for anybody that is not on the agenda. If there is a topic or a subject they want to bring to our attention, this is a time to go ahead and do that. All right, you and Richie is quiet. Wow, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our action items. I will, for the council, for awareness, we're doing things a little bit different. Normally on the first meeting of the month, we usually look at the minutes and we look at the bills. But we're gonna go ahead and wait until the next meeting. We'll get Josie back on board and then we'll go ahead and take care of that. So next meeting, be prepared, we'll go ahead and take care of that. So the first action we have, A, upon the request from Eagle Construction to place a meter on a fire hydrant for work, site work in Saddle Ridge Estates. Daniel, come on up.
Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, so I'd like to request a water meter for construction on the second phase of Saddle Ridge. Being on the first unit, they have a meter out there currently that we cannot use. And we'd like to see if we can get a second meter on our project. And continue with the dust control and construction.
Perfect. James?
Need a second meter, or you're gonna use same meter?
I would like to have a second meter because I do not know if VK has closed out that meter with y'all.
Yeah, not.
When that's gonna happen, so for dust control right now, because it is dry and dusty. You know, we got a little bit of rain, but it's.
So Virginia, they haven't contacted you and
No, tip is not one of their account. They had consumptions on their last bill,
okay.
so they haven't, they're still using it.
James, any issues? Virginia would help out with that? I know he's trying to get it by tomorrow. That's what you're asking
That'd be
for?
awesome.
Okay, we try to do that.
Where do you wanna put it?
James, if you could call me, I can meet you down. We can see what best works for y'all and us and figure it out like that, if that works for you.
What, are you going on that same hydrant is what we're looking at?
No,
Okay.
I-
Fire protection lines.
I would rather have it in the back, keep that water fresh.
And I think that's what you're looking for, right? Just a little further back too. So it might be a win-win situation. Try to do that. Okay. Council?
Mayor, I move that we allow Indigo Construction to place a meter on fire hydrant so they can continue with the second phase of Saddle Ridge.
Think you got a motion? Second. Got a second? Any further discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
There you go, Danny, work with James, okay?
We already have that in the works.
Yeah, we take care of that. So work out good. Awesome.
This is the-
Okay, B, consider and act upon the RFP for tree trimming project. I think this one was, we still had it open, we had some correspondence. Skip, do you have this one? You have an update for us on this? Where are we at with this?
We're kind of at a stalemate right now. We haven't advertised for bids for the tree trimming, which I think is gonna be a little bit of a problem, because I don't know how much it's gonna cost. There's a lot of trees to be trimmed up there. But I feel we probably should either advertise through the newspaper, or I have a list that have a few of the local landscapers here that may be interested in trimming it. The only thing that I'm going to do is, I haven't marked the trees, but a lot of them are on private property. I would have to take them individually to each area that needs to be trimmed and go from there. I'll let y'all have some thoughts on it.
And I'll open up, but just for my familiarization, so I know we sent letters to the property owners, right?
Yes,
And what was the deadline? for that?
20th, over a month ago.
So we send the letters to all the folks that were in there, and,
Yeah, September 20th was
okay, so September the 20th, and then how many responded back to you?
18,
18 out of
69.
69, okay. So basically, the other ones are just giving us the opportunity to go ahead and fix that?
The way I understand it, yes, they didn't respond to yes or no to it. I only had 2 individuals that expressed that they would like for the city to contact them, me to contact them prior to cutting the trees, so prior to trimming the trees, so we could go over it. The rest of them that I received gave an A-OK on it. In the meantime, over the past 2 months that have gone by, there's been several places that the trees were trimmed already.
Out of those 69?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we basically have a list and we need to go out and ask for a contractor to trim or to give us a bid, is that where we're at?
Yes,
Okay. Did you talk with Josie already about this, or where are we at with that?
no, I have not. I wasn't sure how y'all wanted to handle it. That's why I'm asking for y'all's advice to go over it. There's a short list here. Basically what I had before. Y'all, if I had telephone numbers of the contractors that are local and a couple of them that I've seen signs around the city advertising.
Skip, is Railroad Street on the list of trying to bid out? Or
No.
Good, I was saying, that one, we need to work with the county on, with this interlocal, on that big machine they've got that can come back and.
I was gonna ask you about that. They do have a large machine,
So I've already talked to the county commissioner, they're interested in helping us with that. It's a large project. I don't know if y'all noticed, I've driven down it quite a bit, the trees are starting to overgrow, it looks like driving through a tunnel. We've already had some dumping going on over there, James did a whole bunch of stuff, because it's getting to that point where you look like, okay, this is a good spot to stop and throw trash, because it forces people to trash here. So I just don't want us to pay for that if we've got something with the county, we've got an interlocal, and we get a machine out to do that for us. For free.
Do we have an interlocal agreement with?
We just approved a general one, would have to, from my understanding, Tom, would have to do a new one for individual projects, correct? Or,
You can see, that's what I think.
yeah.
So we provided that, and we're trying to get it finalized, in the sense of trying to get it, I know Josie has the ones that were signed, and so we can finalize them and then be able to send them out to the counties. So that's where we're at. I think unless council, there's another step, I think we need to get Skip to work with Josie, so we can go ahead and take the next step of coming up with an RFP for us to be able to do this. We just need to kind of keep moving with this, so we can go ahead and take care of it. And we can work the other one on the side too, to try to take care of it as soon as the interlocal agreement, we can talk to the commissioner.
That would probably be the biggest one, I think, in the city, that's probably the most dangerous for the fire department and trucks, and then just vehicle traffic now. Some of the ones that have been trimmed are great because it's opened up a lot of the area for us. We might have some smaller areas. That's just, a branch or two here and there as we move down the street, not a whole street we're trying to trim out.
Tom, should I talk with the commissioner prior to you getting this agreement together, concerning?
Oh, yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. I'll see if I can get a hold of him and go over the areas.
Well, I mean, but you got two different, right? Two different sets. You got the one where we want to get the commissioner, and the other one where we need the contractor.
Yes.
So the answer to the commissioner, yeah, go ahead and talk to him. Don't let that hold you up on this.
Okay.
And they're aware of it. He's already sent his foreman out. They've looked at the job already.
Okay.
So they'll know what you're
Railroad
talking,
Street
they'll
and-
know what you're talking about.
Okay. There's a couple of oak trees that I'd like to get with you to discuss whether we actually need to trim these limbs or not here in the next week or so. I'd like to go over it with you to see if we actually need to trim them. They're right at the limit, like Somerset Street.
They're at that 14, 15-foot limit, we're good. But if they're lower than that, that's where, because as it rains and they sag, that's where we start to hit them
Yeah.
with our trucks, the top of our trucks.
So Skip, if you can, go ahead and, Josie is taking phone calls, so.
Okay.
So we work through Virginia and see if we can go ahead and start talking about that and try to make sure that we're getting prepared whenever she does return, be able to take care of that. Council, if somebody can help us out, maybe if we can just table this.
So I'll move that we table this until Josie's well and you're able to coordinate action.
Second. Okay, got a second? Any further discussions on this? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we're gonna table this. Now, this is a perfect time for us to be able to do this. It'd be a good opportunity. Okay, C, consider an act upon requesting, obtaining brush assistance for a homecoming bonfire located in White Oak High School. The background on that one is we got contacted and we were asked, I guess every 2 years, whenever they do the homecoming, they do a bonfire. It's a formality, they come back and ask if we can go ahead, the brush that is already being picked up by Barrera, they just take a portion of that, and depending on how much they need, they'll go put it in the location over where they do the bonfire. Normally it's over by the high school.
Yeah, it's in the back by their ag barn, that big, large building. We've done it before, that we've already issued the fire permit and done everything through our office.
So it's basically just asking permission from council for them to obtain, instead of going and putting it out in James to take care of it over there, they actually don't put it over at the high school.
I bet that we go ahead and allow them to do that with fresh.
Okay,
I'll second that.
got a motion, got a second? Any further discussion on that?
This is gonna be a instruction to Barrera to take the brush over there.
Yes, sir.
I've already talked to Mr. Barrera, he just needs a plan of contact and the location where it needs to be dropped. Okay? It was just.
Cause I'd rather that we stay out of that business.
Yes, sir.
So we did that. I think we just got them in touch with the people at the school.
Yeah,
We're just allowed.
that's all we gotta do.
Yeah, we're not building the bonfire.
Yeah, I remember the homecoming bonfire at A&M, we don't want that.
And the year they have done this, they did, we just, I think we dumped it, and that was it.
Yeah.
They
Let's
did
get
everything.
on with, Mr. Cross. Actually, let's give it to Mr. Cross, that will work. Thank you on that. D, discuss and consider taking action. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much for that. All right. D, discuss and consider taking action on establishing an ordinance relating to construction and demolition within the city limits. Charles, all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that the question arose last meeting about, what we had in place already. I think Chief and Matt brought this up. So in the handout that I printed out, it's, I don't know, it's 5 pages. That is the 2009 International Building Code, and that is what pertains to demolition in particular. Give everyone the opportunity to look through it, but, my assessment of it is that it is not very in-depth. It's very simplistic in nature, and just from the amount of work that we have going on here in the near future, I think that it might be a good idea for us to fine tune and tailor the demolition construction ordinance. My apologies, I didn't get, I looked in some other cities our size, what they have, what pertains to this work. And they have stuff that goes in depth a little bit more. So I don't think it's gonna be a bad idea, especially with what we have going on. Wanted to get a picture today, kind of with like the, I guess the grading that's going on at Saddle Ridge. And of course, that was the first item on the agenda tonight, and getting a meter out there so they could probably hose those sites down to keep the dust in place, but, I mean, they're going ahead, we're not, you know, we're not gonna slow them down, but I think it would be wise for us to be prepared for the future, because we got the Ghibli Farms that's gonna go in place next door. We get all them homes, people moved in out there, the Sour Ridge, living in there, and then Ghibli Farms is in the same situation where they're throwing dust on our future residents. So that's my biggest concern, is that we're being a little more proactive than reactive, for stuff of this nature.
I have a question. Since this is the 2009 International Building Code, what do you feel that we need extra that they don't have in here? Do you have any specific ideas or?
Well, I just specifically addressing issues like this, where construction is gonna be required, because I know TCEQ, and I think, at the federal level, that they have a little more restrictions in place that we have not adopted ourselves.
The federal?
Yes, sir. And, it's more environmental, it's EPA. But we can bring it back again here in 2 weeks or next month, and then do a little more research. I just think this is not something that's gonna get resolved tonight, but I think it is something that we need to talk about as a council and be made aware of before it becomes a bigger problem. So, that's my thoughts on
So I
it.
got a question, and this is more, during the last discussion, Richie and Matt, you're mentioning that there's a 2020?
Well, yeah, every couple of years they'll update the code. So I think now the latest is the 2021. I'd have to look at. I don't know if they may not change anything in demolition. I don't know what the building, because we don't really use the building code as much. So I don't know what changes were made here.
It might be good to just take a look at that.
Well, Mayor, just of course, this is what we have adopted, right? From what I saw in 2021, that there are no real significant changes. It's pretty much what is before you right now is what is in the 2021 version of this as well, so. I could come back again here in whatever, 2 weeks and give a little more info, and we can talk about some more then, if y'all like. It's up to the council.
Mayor, I just think we need to conversation too. I mean, Charles done a lot of the work, but, we have a building official, and that person probably needs to be involved in that conversation as well. Because by the code, he is the building official, that's Troy Martin. Right, Troy Martin. So you may want to at least reach out to him and get some input from him, because ultimately, he's gonna be the one responsible for enforcing the building code.
Well, aren't you asking to be here at the next meeting?
Whatever the council,
Or-
if the council wants me to pursue this further, I will.
And I'm not trying, the only thing I'm saying is from his, I'm a fire inspector, Matt, I do fire inspection. And to adopt the code and then expect us to enforce these different things, we might want to get some input from people that are actually gonna be, make sure Troy's on board. I'm not saying he has to be here, you can just fill him in and see what he says, but that, I just council even know who, if you ever met him even, do you know who the building official is?
So council, if you guys feel comfortable, if we can go ahead and get Mr. Martin
Yeah, I'll add
together
it to
with
that.
Charles.
That's fine. Charles, were you planning to do like a draft of this ordinance for next time, or just?
I can bring some examples from what I've seen I know that the Alamo Heights, Bernie, and of course, a lot of these other small communities, it's more around the preservation of historic buildings and their stuff. So it's like, hey, if we cobble something together and we work on it, to suit our needs, that's gonna be, I think, in my opinion, the best route for us to take moving forward.
Council?
Need a motion to pursue that? Well, then I'll go ahead, make a motion that we pursue this.
Need a motion? Give permission for Charles to go ahead and
Get Troy involved in it too.
A second.
We got a second? Any further discussion?
I'll reach out to Troy and whatever I can gather, I'll present what I find at the next meeting there.
Perfect. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then Charles, just let us know whenever you're ready and, we'll go ahead and put it on the agenda, so.
Yes, sir.
If it's quick, it's quick. If we need a little bit of time, we need a little bit of time. Okay. Awesome. Okay, E. Discuss and consider adopting an ordinance establishing Robert Rules of Order and parliamentary procedures for all White Oak City Council meetings. Charles, all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. This, again, we talked about, this last meeting, and there's, again, more info for y'all to digest. This was this is a quick cheat sheet on how things are kind of conducted in meetings, and again, we can fine tune this to our own needs, but for revenue's sake, that moving meetings along in a organized and timely manner. I know that handout, I don't have it with me, I don't know if y'all kept them, the one from Russ that they had implemented, kind of just basically set the rules. Not that we have disorderly meetings, I'm very happy that the residents and everyone who comes to visit is, they're, well behaved. I know Mr. Hurdle, he kind of gets worked up sometimes, but,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but
That's why they have a straight jacket over there.
yeah, that's why he's got the stun gun, just armed, but, I just use that as an example. I know that other communities, they've had kind of disruptive meetings in recent months, and I want to avoid that. I want us to be proactive and be able to conduct business in a timely manner and in the best interest of the city. I think that if we get something, not necessarily what I handed out last month, but we can work on it together, and over the course of the next 6 months, we find something that works for us, that it would be in the best interest of not just this council, but the residents as well. So,
Charles, now, so far you're looking into this, have you seen anything that we're doing that would be a glaring problem that would be like high in your list of things to make sure we do? Or is this just a preparatory for the future?
My take is it's very formal. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, because I feel like everyone very respectful, not interrupting, but if needed, that we would have these rules in place. So it's not like, hey, hard and fast, we have to do this, sit up here with our powdered wigs and,
And that's more or less what Robert's Rules Bible will tell you.
Yes, sir.
You have the basic rules and then you adapt it to your level of familiarity and purpose.
I would like to make a recommendation that our city attorney would look at these and then get back with us later.
Okay, got a motion?
Yeah, I'll second that. That's a good idea.
A second? Okay, further discussion?
Do you mean before we do anything or? when we
Yeah,
have-
before we do anything. Yeah, but-
When we have a draft of?
Yeah, draft.
Oh, yeah. Once we work together with Charles as a council to come up with the draft, certainly run it by the.
But he's actually making a motion for us to go ahead and provide this to him to go ahead and put
Yeah,
it together
take it
before we
over.
talk.
Oh,
That's what he's.
is it time to do that, Charles? I mean, is it the right time to do that?
I mean, I handed out my draft, right?
Mhm.
I was taken from Russ, and, I'm not an attorney, I'm not gonna pretend to know anything, but I kind of just subbed out Russ for Lidle, and, but I think it would not be a bad idea if we did do that.
You think it had pretty much everything we needed here?
Again, I think it did encompass a lot of things, but there might be some stuff we could ease up off of and stuff that we could even be more restrictive, you know, for lack of a better term, but.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I feel like it covered a lot of bases, but then again, maybe there's something that I'm missing, you know?
Yeah, the many years I've been on council, you know, we have had a informal meetings. You know, we've been, you know, it's been, like Charles said, polite with each other, you know, respecting each other. But there could be something, you know, not all of us are gonna be on the council, and not the type of people that we have in here most of the time, the citizens coming in, maybe could possibly be a different set too in the future. So there's, maybe a few things too, you know, like, Sam said, see if there's a few things we could put in place maybe.
I certainly agree. It's a necessary thing to have, again, looking to the future. I wonder if we should somehow spend a little more time on the draft that you put together before we turn to the attorney to let him make his red ink on it.
Tom, what do you think?
Oh, it's up to the council.
Yeah, I'm not looking into the,
Oh, yes.
I was gonna say.
Mayor, can I interject something? I don't want to speak out of order, but I'm on the executive board of our baseball chapter, as y'all know, and I'm the sergeant at arms. We follow Robert's Rules of Order, but I'm not so sure, and I want to make a suggestion, throw it out to y'all. You may need to appoint or elect somebody to be your sergeant at arms that keeps track of Robert's Rules of Order. So I've got it on my desk at home, and I take it to every baseball meeting that I go to. Because we've had some heated discussions, and all I'm had to do is stand up and say, point of order, and then that shuts everything down until we get it ironed out. So I'm just throwing, I'm
Usually the person would be called a parliamentarian of the
yeah,
committee.
sergeant at arms, but that's parliamentary, the same thing
Yeah.
again. But I'm just throwing that out at you. You may want to appoint somebody here, to do that, so.
Yeah, well, that's part of the look that it had on here, because I did have some questions about that, you know, in the sense of having somebody, because I think sometimes we do that informally
Mhm.
as a way to kind of help each other out. I think I'm with Jerry that we try to keep it as informal as possible, but we have to keep it orderly, right? And the things that we have, so we need to take that into consideration. I know there's some stuff in here that I had questions about in the sense of just taking a look at it. And I talked about consent over the agenda and being able to put things together for that. Asking council at the beginning of the meeting. I know we normally, in the years that I've served and everything, we never actually gone down that road. So, you know, being able to do that. So to me, I would like to know, you know, what would be important to be able to do that? What would be the benefit of being able to do that?
Well, I mean, that was one thing, we kind of saw that, the last meeting, we were running out of time. And I think all the department heads had presented their reports to us in writing beforehand. So it's like, if there's no questions, then we can save the employees of the city, you know, a little bit of time, and they don't have to sit here all night. We can, I'm not saying push that through, but if there are no questions, then, hey, all right, move to accept this and then move on.
Yeah, but we can adjust those, right?
Yes, sir. We
It
can.
gives us a chance to be able to do that.
And my thought is just that we might want to clean up this draft from Russ first, or this copy from Russ, before we turn it over to Tom, and let him do a lot of work on it, and then later have us say, okay, what you said was okay, but we really don't need this here, so let's take it out, then we'll redo it and everything.
Maybe you should have a workshop.
It sounds like that's what we're talking about, yes.
There was another section in here that talked about having speakers cards submitted by the persons. So in other words, if Wayne wanted to talk about it, he needed to put in a speaker card from the very beginning to be able to do that. And I think personally, I don't like that.
I don't need it.
I'd rather go ahead and if we have a citizen in the audience that wants to speak, that they
And
speak.
let me
you know?
tell you where that goes wrong, if you don't understand. In the Republican Party of Wisconsin County, we had a county executive committee, and we followed Robert's rules. We had a parliamentarian actually Mr. Stuart Knowlton, our commissioner. And you don't have to be a member of like city council in order to be a parliamentarian. You can be someone sitting in the audience. And if we violate some parliamentary rule, you can say, excuse me, that you have to, get a second before you call for vote, something like that. But also this thing on having submitted cards, the new chairman of the party here, we never had to do that. And he got a little upset with the committee, the council. And he said, we're gonna do that now. You have to send in a card, what you wanna talk about at the next meeting, blah, 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 blah. And, so we need to go over this. We need to sort out what we need here, what we don't need here, what we don't want here, before I think we turn it over to get it,
As long as I've served on the council, it's rules that allow people from the audience to make their comments. And I think that's fine, it's part of the city.
Sure. But in the case of this.
Yeah, but it's in here.
Having
So,
submitting notes before they ask a question, that could tie us up sometime in the future.
Richie?
Well, I just want to comment that, we're a diverse community. We have a lot of people that come in here at different education levels, very highly educated and very, very, not highly educated, And I think, I think we definitely need something like this, but I don't know, on the speaking part, if you make it too complicated, it's going to intimidate people. And we certainly don't want to intimidate people where they don't feel comfortable approaching their elected officials. That's just my.
I'd like to make a comment. Under the new law, you gotta let everybody speak. Anybody who wants to speak, you gotta let them speak. Now, the question that's come up in other cities is, do you want to let them speak throughout the meeting, or do you want to let them speak at the beginning of the meeting, so it kind of speeds the meeting up? But they still get their chance to speak. They can speak on anything that's on the agenda, but they can speak at the front, or you can let them speak when it comes up. But if we let them speak at the front, it tends to keep the business flowing. Otherwise, you have that interruption all the time. And I've been in some heated meetings where you need some order.
No, Fully understand. So I got a motion, I got a second for us to go ahead and pass this over to Tom to go ahead and look at. We have had discussion. Is there anything?
So was it a workshop or was it to give the draft to Mr. Case?
So we're gonna finish up first. Once again, we have comments, we have a motion, we have a second. We need to go ahead and put it up for vote for us to go ahead and do that. If the votes don't show and we wanna go ahead and make an amendment or anything like that, then we can go ahead and do that.
We can do an amended motion and vote on it first.
It's up to
Okay.
the.
So I make a motion that we set aside a time to do a workshop, to get together and as a council go through this, and when we come up with our final draft, then we turn it over to the city attorney for final.
So you make the first motion,
Final vote.
Sam, you wanna go ahead and make amend your motion?
Well, he can just second mine, we can vote on mine and then vote on
And here, again, this is where having some clear, rules of order, it would clarify this, what to follow. Because, my understanding of it, that the motion is on the floor,
Seconded.
and he's been seconded. And unless that Sam amends his original, then we need to vote on what his original motion was.
Well, there's a thing called secondary motion. That's what I was making, secondary motion.
But I don't think that Sam is required to, no offense, Mr.
No.
Yeah,
I'm just-
to take that, in consideration in the course of discussion, that, yeah, he can say, well, I'll amend it, and then you go back and forth. But that's why having these rules of order and procedure in place are important.
Yeah.
So,
We normally-
anyways, yeah,
That's fine.
that's my
fine.
take.
So,
Tom, you recommend a workshop and I'll amend it.
No, I think that you guys need a workshop. That's sort of just like I said, we've got a lot of questions, so that's fine. I agree with David. I don't want to come up with something and you guys go through there and say, no, this is not what we wanted at all.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I'll amend mine.
Okay. I made a motion for us to have a workshop.
Okay.
And maybe I'll amend it to have the workshop.
So make an amendment, we got a second, go ahead and make an amendment for us to have a workshop before we turn it over to Tom. Okay, any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So let's go ahead and, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at a date. Let's go ahead and do that.
Is this something we need to do right away, or?
Probably not.
No, in the grand scheme of things, no, it's not gonna burn down without it. Yeah, let's see.
So we can either, we can do that right now and come up with a workshop, or do we wanna go ahead and send Charles Rogers forward? Maybe he can send out an email with some dates and we can pick a date out of that.
That'd be fine.
How's that look?
Yeah, I mean, even then, we can come back here, got another meeting this month, and we can set a workshop date, and how about that?
That's fine.
The next meeting.
Sorry, just writing down some notes. Okay. All right, thanks, council, appreciate that. Okay, super skip. There we go. F, code compliance officers report. Bring us up to speed with what's going on. Thanks, Charles, appreciate that.
My report's a little bit skewed, it's basically going over 6 weeks, about 6.5 weeks, since I was not here at the last meeting, and I'm not getting my report. So, kind of bear with me through this. The numbers aren't actually as high as it seems. I was able to accomplish 56 properties mowed around the city. The weeds and grass are slowing down as far as growth, so that's going to almost decline. There's some cleanup at different houses, different residences that I'll punctuate on as the month goes along now. I had 40 piles of brush. I'm not talking about the little bitty piles, but larger piles of brush in the right of way along the curb this past month and a half. I approached the people and explained to them once again the days and times they could be putting the brush out. So I have to reiterate here, this includes about 6 weeks worth of time, so it's a little bit skewed to the number. I also removed debris and bulky waste at 18 of the locations around the city, small amounts of debris, not a large amount. I've got a front end loader on my tractor that I utilize a lot of this movement back and forth to the dumpster at the city shop. I had a complaint in Park Place of a chicken and a rooster that a resident had. I believe it's against the subdivision's rules. Also, the person did not have a permit for chicken and rooster, and they were removed.
The people or the chicken.
And the people stayed there. Sorry about not being real clear on that.
Well, there goes the eggs.
There goes the eggs right there. I approached four businesses with dumpsters overage this past month and a half. These are new customers that didn't have overages prior. I alerted 3 businesses to renew their alcohol beverage license. I had an unregistered motor vehicle removed from Railroad Street near the beverage barn. People that parked there, I couldn't even see the most current registration on the vehicle, but it was taken care of. And I advised the new Railroad Cafe of a water leak they had out there, cut off valve, it was leaking pretty bad. I understand they're having a little bit of trouble paying bills, and so alerting them to this leak probably helped them a little bit as far as bills are concerned. The electric company that services coal mine put in a night light on Juarez Street, and they cut a bunch of brush around. They did it again.
And then it used to be, they put a ladder on,
I'll put the light up.
they put a ladder to cut the brush.
Yeah, but they did cut the brush, did they? I didn't see it there today, but anyway, they cut a bunch of brush around from this utility pole and along the line, laid it out across the right of way. They didn't come back and pick it up, so I cut it up and the city crew came along with a trailer, one trailer, and we picked it up, and disposed of it. They did this about 2 days after the regular brush pickup.
Yesterday, he came and did it on San Juan and Juarez.
Is that what they're doing back and forth? Because a couple of weeks ago, they're almost every day.
Put a ladder, they said a light on that pole. They put
So-
branches around it.
So I remember Josie telling me that one of the lights that we had requested over in Coal Mine, that there was a light there, but there was so much brush on it that you couldn't really see it. So that might have been the first cut, and then they were gonna come back and install the other lights that we had requested that needed to go up to the utility pole. So,
You have to be there, you have to see that brush before you put it up there.
yeah, one of them, we found out there was a light there. It was just all the trees that grew over it and it let the light down, so, yeah. That works out good. So that's probably the reason why they dumped.
It's kind of aggravating that they don't pick up their mess. You know, other utilities around normally do, but
Virginia,
yeah.
Virginia, do you ever talk to them?
Yes,
Dave?
he's a flood assessor. But the gentleman called me, who had actually worked on the line, because he says, well, I don't need a light here. There's already a light in the building. It's just so covered with everything from a tree. So they
Do you have the name and the number of the person that contacted you?
Yes, sir.
Maybe we need to just give them a friendly reminder, see, maybe the crews that are coming out here, because they're leaving the brush behind.
Yes, and he told us that, he says, I'm sorry, I don't have the equipment to pick it up. He says, I have the equipment to get around
They
the
have a
tree.
bucket truck. So they do it. They use a bucket truck to get up
You think they'd have a pickup, they could put the brush in.
How about their hands? They got hands?
Yeah.
That's how I do brush.
Next time we talk to them, can you make a note on that?
Yes, sir.
Next time we talk to them, let's go and bring that up. Because that means more work for our guys, so try to make it easier for them.
There are there's a large cluster of oak trees over in Saddle Ridge, between two lots and really two lots that I checked on. Josie was able to talk to the developer, and I don't believe, I've been checking on them, I don't believe they're gonna be cutting them down. They were in a large cluster. One of them was 17-inch, it was a single trunk. Another one was a 15-inch oak tree with a single trunk. Another one was a 48-inch oak tree with a quadruple split trunk of 24, 25, 20, and a 9-inch trunk, about 6 feet above the ground. And the third one had 8 trunks, had an 8-trunk split cluster of a 10-inch, 22-inch, 24-inch, and another 24-inch. And then one that was 90-inch in diameter, a very, very large oak tree that split into four more trunks, 6 feet above the ground. Like I say, these are not going to be cut down. They were wanted to cut them down, but they were behind the foundation of the property of the house. They're way along the property line and actually split right in between 2 lots. So I believe they're being taken care of, but I go over there occasionally just to make sure they don't come over. That's basically it. Y'all have any questions?
Just give a reminder for those people that are challenges, just remind them about the cleanup, give them a call this week, let them know on Saturday, we got the dumpsters, you gotta go ahead and.
Yeah, there's a few people that have been putting some debris out
So,
early in.
well, in a sense of, hauling it out and dumping it, and so help them too, if they're looking for avenues, we've gotten pretty.
I appreciate y'all getting all those tires off of, James actually.
Yeah, James and the crew actually went out there, that was one of the things that Waste Management would not pick up. So they were able to take care of that, and then we worked with Medina County, and they accepted the tires. It didn't cost us anything except the labor and then, of course, the transportation. But James, so it was a total, how many?
I think there's over 110.
110 tires. So, they did a great job, and it worked out for us to be able to do that. So, Commissioner up in the Honda precinct helped us out with that, so that was good. Appreciate it. Thanks, Skip.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, consider an act upon designating October 15th as Flight Training Safety Day with proclamations. Basically, I'm asking the council for us to make it the actual date, the 15th as our date, to go ahead and proclaim that. That way, it's from this point on. We do have some residents in here in this city. I know Frankie is one of them that actually, because of his limitations with sight, and we also have some in school too, that actually do use a cane on there. So, it might be good for us to be able to do that. So, I'm asking the council if we could actually, be able to establish that as October 15th. It's a national proclamation date too, just so you know.
Would there be any festivities or meetings or anything involved with that, or it's just a proclamation?
Just proclamation,
Establishing the day?
establishing it.
I go ahead and make a motion to designate October the 15th as the White Cane Safety Day.
I'll second that.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Okay, H, consider an act upon providing a pay increase to city employee Melinda Flores. Santi, come on up.
I'm coming up here to ask if we can give Melinda Flores pay increase. She's been with us for going on 3 years, November, December. It's been a full year, so she recently moved to full-time. When I asked her to move from part-time to full-time, when Lorena and her switched, we just kept her pay at the same. And she started off at $11 an hour, and right now she's being paid $11.67. She's been
3 years.
3 years, and she's been to basic kennel tech. She got a certification in that. And I'm gonna send her to more schooling. That's coming up lately. It's just been so far away. There's like all in the Dallas area, and it was all because of COVID. No one was having training down close to San Antonio.
And how much are you requesting?
That I don't know. I'm not too sure. I was thinking 13, but it all depends on what the council thinks.
We talking about the budget?
Yes.
You didn't request it on the budget. I thought maybe we could do maybe half.
Yeah, we have anything just to help her out. Help her out. She's a good employee. Someone I can count on.
Comparable to other people, the other pay of other workers, there's a comparable level.
Yeah, the other ones get paid a little more. Rachel's been here going on 8 years, and Lorena, I think she's been here like 5 years as well.
How much are they getting paid?
Lorena gets paid $15.08, I believe, and Rachel 17. I'm not sure, $17.
So Lorena is the one that was full-time and went to
Part to
part-time.
part-time.
So they swapped.
They
That
swapped.
was about a year and a half ago.
Yes. And then when we did swap, I just kept her pay at the same. I didn't increase her pay when we swapped them.
I don't know.
What you want to do? I just thought it was gonna be up.
Aren't we all getting a pay raise next pay check? We're getting our percentage.
3% increase. 3% increase across the board for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I think as a department head, the issue is, I've got a whole bunch of people, and they all do a real good job. They put up with a lot of stuff, and I could justify raises for all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know, the precedent we're setting is, you know, I've got guys watching this on YouTube, and they're gonna, well, chief, I've been out there kicking it, you know? That's my concern, we just went through budget, we just went through all this, we were told to get everything together, department heads. And, you know, we tried to be good stewards, and then with something like this, no offense to Santi. But, you know, it's not the issue I have with Santi, it's the issue that my employees are gonna have with, you know, well, why don't you go get us money? Santi got his people money.
That's what I was telling you about, if they're not doing the budget, maybe we should consider giving her maybe half, and then wait till next budget year and they're caught up. You put it in the budget.
Yeah.
It's up to the
Yeah.
council, you know.
And you mentioned there's some certifications she needs to get to,
So, well, we hired her as a kennel tech and she got that certification already.
but are there other certifications she should have?
Um,
in the position
not-
she's in right now?
No, nothing really. If she was an animal control officer, she would have to go to basic ACO school and get certified in euthanization. We didn't hire her as an animal control officer.
Is she fully functional in the job, like she has driver's license?
Just driver license, everything.
I have a copy of that too.
Sorry?
And he did bring me a
Yeah,
copy of
yeah,
the driver's license.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about the.
So Sam, as a liaison,
Well, I'm recommending half, but it's up to the council.
I was gonna say, where would the money come from? Is it in, like in the animal control?
it would have to be taken out of his budget, they would need to figure it out. I think with a calculation of $1.33, that's, you know, you're sticking to, I think that was the number, Virginia.
That's what he had looked at, and, he had looked at the retirement, social security, it would give him $3,500, and he would have to change the budget line. He would have to make an amendment to his budget. It would have to come from his budget. And we just
So that's
adopted
going
the budget on October 1st, so whatever he budgeted was.
Charles?
Mayor, I move that we move to closed session to discuss personnel matters.
Motion,
I'm sorry. Move to closed session to discuss personnel matters with the department head with this.
motion for us to go into executive session,
Second.
got a second on that?
Just gotta beat this.
Here.
And second, this was Virginia.
Yes, a second, all those okay, so we're gonna go to executive session, this is based on, executive code, 551.074. Okay, all those in favor for us to actually go to executive session based on personal matters? Aye. Okay, any opposed?
CPS.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, so, Virginia, if you can actually go ahead and show us back in here at 7:35. Right now, the action was taken by the city council. Okay. Charles?
I'd like to make a motion. I move that at this time, we take no action regarding the pay increase for Melinda Flores.
Motion, okay, Joseph, try a second. Okay, any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Tom.
No problem.
Look forward to the updates.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, update on Lido cleanup day.
Okay, we have a lot of cleanup day this coming Saturday, 16th of October from 9 to 1 o'clock. We'll be soliciting volunteers from around the city to put on a little vest and take some trash bags and little trash picker-uppers and go around the main city streets picking up trash. We'll also have 3 roll-off dumpsters positioned around town. There'll be one at the Old Bells parking lot out by the street. There'll be one here at City Hall and one in the big parking lot behind the high school gymnasium. And we have flyers that have been produced to advertise this. And that was done by the Keep Lido Beautiful Committee. And then Waste Management, who is going to bring the dumpsters out for us, made a flyer that tells us what we can and cannot put in the dumpsters. There are certain prohibited things. Believe it or not, you can actually throw away a refrigerator in the dumpster, but it has to be emptied of all the fluorocarbon refrigerants. Of course, no tires, things like that. So there's a list of approved items, a list of prohibited items. And these should be going out around the city. I need to talk to the committee again and see if they're actually getting out. We had an ad in the paper last week, or an article, I guess, announcing this, and there'll be another one in the Divine paper tomorrow announcing this. So, other than maybe knowing where we have flyers right now, that's what I know. And the weather's supposed to be a nice cool day in the mid-70s, I think. So it'll be a nice day for people walking along the streets to get out and do that. I would request on behalf of the Keep Lido Beautiful committee that we have a good showing from City Council. We need people to man the dumpsters. You don't have to be there the whole time, but if you want to go out for an hour or so, just to make sure that people aren't putting prohibited items in the dumpster. Janice, the chairman of the committee, is contacting the VFW to see if they can have some of their people posted at the dumpsters for a time too.
No need to bring the utility bill.
Yeah, they citizens that want to put things in the big dumpsters need to bring driver's license or utility bill to prove that they actually live in the city limits. And that's on the flyer. So tell people to come out, encourage people to come out. I encourage you all to come out for part of it or all of this from 9 to 1, so it's not an all-day deal. But, if you want to come out for an hour or two and help out either at a dumpster or putting on a vest and walking down the streets, that'd be very good.
Are you gonna have refreshments? I'm asking for Jerry.
No mention of refreshments up to this point.
Probably want donuts too.
So that's.
Well, the rally point is gonna be here, right?
Yes, the rallying point to pick up your safety gear and your trash bags and your little mechanical hand will be here. We have some supplies from previous events, And Chris Bowen got more supplies from state, from the Keep Texas Beautiful folks, and he'll be bringing those over here, so people just show up at the front door. We'll, send them out, give them little instructions, and they'll head out from here.
Perfect. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, so did y'all find out where y'all wanted to put that dumpster at HEB, Mr. Chairman? Did y'all find a spot that wasn't gonna tear up their parking lot?
We have a map that Mr. Garcia, which is known as sent me a satellite map that he drew the area. He requested that we put down some sort of plywood or wood so it doesn't gouge the asphalt out. Apparently they've had some problems like that in the past. I've worked with James on this.
Yeah,
They've got some scrap plywood, and we're gonna go out early that morning. The mayor's gonna call Waste Management and find out when they're planning on delivering it, and we'll have it. We're gonna put cones.
I know, I mean, I don't know if you ever had a roll-off dumpster, but they got like little rollers on the bottom.
Yeah.
And they do hit the ground, so it's quite a bit. What size are they, 40 yards or 30 yards?
40.
Yeah, it's a big dumpster. I didn't talk with you 2 weeks ago on this, but my suggestion is there's a driveway, there's a grassy area, right? You're looking, that road that runs right there between Taco Bell and McDonald's, Lava Somerset Road. There's actual curb cut where they could probably back that thing up and put it on the grass. I don't think that there's anything in there.
This is where the water lays during our rainy events, right?
No, sir, it's on the other side of the road. So it's actually part of, Matt, can you pull up a satellite?
I'll have to get everything connected to the internet.
Oh, okay. It's right across from there though, where it floods.
Yeah.
But it's on the Bell's parking lot side. There's a curb cut and they got a driveway in there that is right next to the driveway that you go into the Bell's.
Dirt and grass or gravel?
Well, the grassy area, I think, will accommodate a 40-yard, but they can back into there without having to hop the curb to get in there. Like there is a driveway there. It's just never been used for that purpose. But that's my thought, instead of chancing damaging their parking lot, because I think that, being able to work with them would be
What's the
future for
chances?
this. He's talking about refreshments. My second question was, what are your plans to expand this for next year? Is it gonna be an annual thing, or, we're gonna do it once a year, twice a year, or just get through this first one?
We had discussed that.
Yeah, well, I think.
We've done similar to this in the past, my understanding is.
So if we follow the criteria belonging to this association, the Texas Beautification, they have things that you have to do, and one of them is this: you have to do it on an annual basis.
Okay.
So it is a requirement for you to actually hold events, and you submit the different things that you did around the community as part of the membership that goes along
We
with
used to
that.
have it every year. We had it every year.
I think that Mr. Garcia is thinking on where he drew the triangle for us. It's out near McDonald Street, in like the second or third row of parking areas out there. So it's close to McDonald. And what that would do would be easy flow in and flow out of the vehicles driving through to dump their stuff off. Where what you're talking about might actually jam the road up there across from the car wash.
No, not that guy can drive. I mean, I just know that in concept, offloading that thing, put it on plywood, it sounds like a good idea. But it's a lot easier said than done, because that thing will roll. It'll roll 10, 15 feet. Just because that's just how they're designed. So if you look right here, and turn to the satellite over by
It
Bell's.
might take a minute to load here.
And we got great internet out here. What are you talking about, man?
I'm hotspotting off my phone right now. It's not dead.
So if you come in over here, right in there, there's a driveway right there. There's a curb cut. And they could drop that thing right there, and people could pull in, throw their trash off. But that is a driveway.
I'm just wondering if that dumpster was settled out in the dirt too deep when we
Oh, you know what, that's a good thought, because depending on how much rain we get here on Wednesday and Thursday,
Not only that, but once you get that weight in there, it's gonna be even harder to get out.
Yeah,
regardless though, I wanna protect their property, so that's just an option, to put it in there, so if it's not flooded, if it's not a big muddy mess, that's an alternative, and then you don't risk tearing up that asphalt.
we'll have to look at it the morning of, I guess.
Yeah,
If it's dry enough, James and I are gonna be out there early anyhow. But, if we get the rain that we're supposed to get here, it probably won't be practical. for the-
we're either gonna get nothing or we're gonna get 6 inches, that's what I think.
Welcome to Texas, yeah. But I think, I was out with the Barneys, James, that he has enough, especially with plywood, that we can put a couple layers down. And, I know there's a problem when they offload these things and tend to roll, but they also have a winching mechanism to pull them back on, so there might be some way to restrain that as they're dropping it off. I've never actually seen it do it, but I would think that they have to have some level of control, they don't set it flying out through the yard. I don't know.
It depends on the driver really, but
Yeah.
yeah, okay, you got a good plan, I like it, I'll be there.
All right.
So let's play.
I have a question. How old do they have to be to participate? Like, can children come in like ages 10 and up, or somebody was asking me and I didn't know how to ask
Again, we
that.
have talked about that. I would think any child has to have a parent.
Right, I was gonna,
I'm mistaken, Dave, do you have a release that these people are gonna sign with this stuff? Yeah, well, I'll talk to you about that.
Okay.
We got a lot of trash pickups.
Yeah.
Every one we attend, we gotta sign a release. We gotta sign a release for injuries, and we gotta sign a release for photographs. People wanna take Richie's picture, put it in the paper.
No,
Always.
So we already have something from the previous ones that we've done. We have release already.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna.
Is that right?
Work. Oh, I don't remember.
I've never seen one.
I mean,
Just
the
for
times that
the-
we've done it, I mean, I know we didn't do it last year, but the
Just
year
for the
before we
hand.
did it, and I think we normally did it in April.
Yeah, we've been involved in a lot of them, where we're out with extra officers and they've got, this company sets a whole slew of food out there, but I've never seen any releases.
Can you check with Josie?
We've never had a release. I've seen when they come out there and they pick up the stuff and they pick up the food and the water and the drinks. There's no.
Then they leave.
We can get your release.
Yeah, it's a pretty boilerplate deal,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
It's the same kind that we do when we have the hay rides, we just.
Yeah.
We responsibilities.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to Janice and see if they have any direction from the state about that. They
Well, that's a good
didn't
point.
Didn't mention it.
Good point.
I don't know.
It might already come with the program. Yep. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Thank you, David. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay, Jay, update on the installation of 25-mile-per-hour signs. James, any updates on that?
Yeah, I made 2 calls to 2 different companies. They don't have the very signs like we were looking for. They got something like a T-post you drive in the ground and you bolt it to it. It sticks out of the ground about 6 inches and that's all they had. I call in to TxDOT, see where they got theirs. I've never got a call. I don't know. I know we talked to Ruben last week, but he's never called me back on it. Matt said he found some, I think the hardware is.
I just looked it up again. I sent you the email again. It was like $73 for the one piece and $37 for the hardware.
Over $100 per, and that's not including the sign post, that's just everything right at the ground level.
So that's, I mean, from we did a lot of our research, those are your options. So either one you drive in the ground, which is acceptable for the city streets, or the other one like TxDOT uses, which is more heavy duty. That's your 3 bolts with a plate.
Triangular plate.
They're all gonna, and those are over $100 a pop. And how many we gonna need, James?
35 to 40.
So that's $4,000 probably. but I
How
don't
many signs do you lose a year? How many people get, you know,
get run over.
yeah, how many of them get run over?
Oh, on our, the signs that get run over are the states, the stop signs, we
We get a few
got one.
stop signs.
So
We
it's
just
just
get
a
those
long-term
3 or 4 years.
investment.
Oh, yeah,
Get
it's
these
not,
swapped
it's not
out.
a big deal, I mean, it's just, but we need to, you know,
James, do you have a preference on which type you would?
Yeah, I like the breakaways, you know, the 3-bolt breakaway, I like those. But if, you want, we can start putting the signs out on the existing posts until we get stuff set, it's y'all's call.
well, we need to, this is gonna be a major change, and we need to mark the streets appropriately, and we need some new stop signs. There are not one single street that we could use just existing posts and it'd be properly marked, because the speed limit, and Tom, the prima facie speed limit, is that the correct terminology?
Yes.
It's 30 miles an hour in the city limits. We're not required to have any speed limit signs up. We can write a ticket. If you're on a city street and you're doing 40, it's 30. I don't care if it's not marked. That's the law. Now, we mark our streets. So what I'm getting at is when we change to 25, we don't have that to go back on the prime. Now, it's got to be clearly marked because it's not the standard in the state.
So you're gonna do one street at a time, you know,
Yes,
so
we need
like,
to,
like Lytle Somerset, or Somerset Street, how
we
they're like.
just need to make sure that we don't halfway do it. If we're gonna put the signs up, we wanna have a full-scale campaign, because the biggest part of the campaign is education. We're not doing this to write tickets. Tickets are nothing. I can sit on the interstate and write tickets. We're doing this to create a safer environment. But when we reach out, we wanna make sure we're clearly marked. You know, clearly marked on those streets. So if we wanna just get enough to try one street to see if he likes those, but we need to pick one project and go with it, you know. I'm getting inundated
When
with
we do
people
that,
asking me.
let's go ahead and get the ones for the Lytle Somerset Street, and then we can use it at trial and see how the equipment works, see how you feel about it. And let's just go ahead and go down that road.
So when I got with the company, I asked them if we could set up an account with them, and they sent me all the paperwork for opening an account on a net 30 or whatever, you know, or we could just order it with San Diego City credit card and be done.
No, if we're gonna be buying a lot, we just give the paperwork to Virginia, let them start an account, if that's what James likes.
Yeah.
And then we'll help get that ball rolling if need be, with whatever we can do.
What do you think, James?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and get 40, and we gotta get 40 posts to go with it, you know. That was for the flood and for the speed limit signs. The stop signs, I don't know how many of those we need.
Well, do you wanna just take care of Lytle Somerset Road first, just buy a few, and you can kind of try it out and see how you like the equipment?
We can do that, yeah.
Okay, we can use a credit card for that, right?
You wanna do stop signs and speed limit signs?
On the Lytle Somerset.
Do all the
just-
signs?
Just go ahead and take care of the street.
Okay,
Sounds like a good plan.
okay.
Council, what do you think?
Yes. Solid plan.
So, and we can get that on the credit card, right? So,
Yeah.
continue and do that. So it kind of speeds up the process a little bit.
What about street signs too? I was noticing that today, there's some street signs, you know, in addition to the stop signs that are.
Well, we're gonna put flood, we're gonna put water over road signs, and then, I don't know if you wanna put, stop ahead, you know, put those, replace those two, it's, I don't know.
My
You wanna
God,
do
you
them
get
all?
all the, you know, one street at a time and get all the signs that you need to get replaced, swap them out.
Yeah.
I mean, we got some money in the budget. It's probably not enough for what we gotta get, but it's a start.
How about
I mean, they're all there.
some to have like lights on them?
Man, that's my seat, man.
They got some LEDs like that, you know, you get a little, I mean, that's something we can look at. We're not having a lot of accidents at our stop signs. Mostly we're having our stop signs is people are just going through them.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think if people see the stop signs, they just prefer not to stop.
Yeah.
You know,
Keep where y'all pulling over. You guys are outside my house every night. It seems like I see the light.
They've been helping us out.
there is no, the enforcement of it, I wish I could tell you that we could solve our traffic problems simply by giving a ticket. That's easy. I could say, hey, give me 2 Harley-Davidson motorcycles and 2 officers, and we could write tickets all day long. Now I don't ride motorcycles, well, maybe give one in 3-seater ones, I don't know, three-wheel ones. But the issue is, solving the traffic problem requires a combination of education, enforcement, Design, which we've talked about, we're working with TxDOT, the mayor is, to get that protected left area, because right now, if you're going up in front of Bill Miller's, you're gonna avoid that intersection. You can't turn left when people are shooting off the interstate. So what are those people gonna do? If they're living out on, they're going to HEB, they're gonna come up the back way in front of your house. And so it's a multi-pronged approach to get us where we need to be. I'm sorry I talked too much.
Okay. So James, we're good to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Mayor, we will
appreciate all your help.
order that Friday. We'll try to get everything together and get it ordered Friday.
I think it'd be good.
Coordinate with you.
We can try it out and see if it works. We might find out something about the equipment, so that'd be good. That'd be good. Awesome, okay, one last thing, and then we'll go ahead and go on break, okay? Update on North Somerset Street project for replacing bollards with guardrails. James?
We had a schedule for after meter reading last month. We had a water leak, we had to cancel. We need 2 days to work with the contractor. Once the contractor gets it in, we need 2 days to fix the road so nobody runs off the side and tears up a tire or a rail or something. But we're gonna have to put in a couple of tons of asphalt after they put that up. But right now, it's gotta be, we gotta call for locates again and schedule again. Next week, we have meter reading, so we won't be able to do it, so we'll try to schedule it for the week after next.
Okay. So last week of October?
Yeah.
Okay, right before Halloween. Awesome. Okay, council, anything on that? Alright. Alright, so it looks like it's 7:56 right now. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break, come back.
Pumpkin spice donut holes back there. They're real good.
So they're not pumpkin spice?
Virginia, you can go ahead and show it back. It's 8:06. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on. Al, summary update on the current open city hall positions workshop.
All right, on October 4th, we had a workshop here, talking about the positions that are open in City Hall and what we needed to do. I came up with a list of things and I presented it to the people who were here at the time. We had a couple of folks out sick. I thought it was important to prioritize what positions we fill. The positions we're talking about that are open right now at the moment. We created a position of Assistant City Secretary, and it hasn't been filled, so it's open. As you know, the Financial Director resigned, so we have the Financial Director position open. And in the budget, we had approved a job, a position as either assistant to the City Council, or we're still working on a name. It could possibly be a city administrator. So that's an open position. So I had presented the idea that we need to work first on filling the Assistant City Secretary position, just to get some help in there. And it's an easy position to fill. We can promote from within to get that done. The second priority that we need to work on, that's going to take a little bit longer, will be the Financial Director. There'd been some discussion about, do we really need to do the Financial Director position? Can we leave it with the City Secretary, give her an assistant, the two of them together work on it? But following our audit reports and some discussions I had with those folks and their experience, they said you really, really need a Financial Director. Probably should have needed one for a while, just because the importance of that position and how things are changing economically. But certainly with the growth of our city, they strongly encouraged me to encourage the council to go ahead and get a Financial Director. And then the third position, the assistant to the City Council or City Administrator, we can work on it after we get these other positions filled and up to speed. Some things we talked about on the City Secretary position, Assistant City Secretary position, should be filled immediately. City Secretary should have a say in the person who's going to fill this, because they'll be working so closely together. We should promote or hire from within if we can. There needs to be something in the job description about familiarization, working knowledge of the city finances, because this person will be a backup to the City Secretary and also the Financial Director. And we put forth the name of Paula Rios to promote her from the clerk position she's in now up to the Assistant City Secretary position. More on that later. Financial Director, we should go out immediately. This is what we talked about, that we should go out immediately and advertise for that position. The Miss Fraser, Debbie Fraser, who did the audit for us, said that they're hard to find right now, fully qualified financial directors for cities. And if you find one that's fully qualified and you bring them in here, the price tag's probably going to be pretty stiff. She recommended what a lot of other smaller cities do. They try to find a qualified CPA who wants to get into city finances. And you hire that person, and then you train them through a professional trainer to get them up to speed on city finances and let them grow them into that position. And she indicated that we could probably get that at a more reasonable rate. Of course, we'll have to pay a trainer to come in and do some training. Then we talked about we have to rewrite, once we have the Financial Director in position, we have to rewrite a couple of job descriptions. Right now, the City Secretary has the ultimate responsibility of being the financial director for the city. So we'll have to change a few things out there. But that's just part of what we need to do. Special assistant, city council, or city administrator, we've already budgeted this for $55,000 a year, which includes the pay and the retirement and the taxes. We haven't really settled on a title yet. It depends on what we put into the job description. And we talked about putting off advertising for this position right now because we're going to have to pay, if we find a CPA that wants to be a financial director, we're going to have to pay a professional trainer to come in and train this person. So if we use some of the money in the budget out of the special assistant to the city council position to pay this trainer and get the financial director fully set up, then maybe 6 months into the year, we can aggressively start looking for someone to fill this other position. So we probably need to do this. I know there's been some discussion, we really need an assistant to the city council or call this person a city administrator. If we don't need this person today, we need this person next year or 2 years down the road. We know that we have 3,000, probably more than that, according to the latest census. The Reese brothers, who were here a couple meetings ago talking to us about population growth, if you were here and you remember, they said you guys are going to be over 10,000 at the end of the decade. So if you look at Castroville, you know what explosive growth is. I don't have to explain the term. Castroville's getting pretty plugged up over there. They're building another big development next to Walmart, and people are going to start looking down this way. And we know they already are with the developments that we've talked about out here. It's only going to continue. So we are going to absolutely need somebody to be helping us run the business of the city. City administrator, city manager, the basic difference between the two, there are a couple of differences. City administrator works for the city council and doesn't hire and fire. City manager coordinates with city council and can hire and fire within the city. And the other big difference is price. City administrator will be a little lower in price than the city manager because of the added responsibility. So probably we need to go for a city administrator for a while and then see what our growth does and how we want to move on from there. So these are the things we talked about. We have a couple of agenda items coming up, but that's a recap of some of the bullet points that I made before we went into the meeting, and the mayor graciously let me kind of run with my bullet points. That's what we talked about.
Okay. Any questions on that? Anything at all? Well, thank you for the update.
Sure.
Appreciate that. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to M. Consider and act upon newly created assistant city secretary job description. David?
All right, here we are. We have a draft of a job description, and we passed it around a little bit, had some people look at it. And we need to do some more work on that before we're ready to present it to the council and approve it. So I know we're going to have a little domino effect here on the next couple of agenda items, but I move that we table acting upon the job description for the assistant city secretary at this time. We should have no problem having it finalized for next meeting. So I would like to see it on the agenda in 2 weeks.
Okay, I have a motion for us to go ahead and table this until next meeting. Got Sam, got a second?
Who was first, I'm sorry?
David was.
I made a motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, got a second? Discussion?
What do you think needs to be tweaked on that job description, David?
Wording, duties, It's sort of a domino effect of a couple of other job descriptions too. And right now, Virginia is what's your title, Virginia? Billing?
Yeah, utility and assistant city secretary.
All right, so she has the additional duty, as you say, in the military, being an assistant city secretary, and you see she's filling that very adequately here. Whenever we put a full-time person in as assistant city secretary, then that / assistant secretary will come off of Virginia's job description. So we need to look at that, and also with financial director and having an assistant, there might be a few modifications we need to make to the city secretary job description. So the mayor and myself and the involved parties, Virginia and Josie, as soon as she comes back to work, need to sit down and just lay these things out on the table and go over them together, do brainstorming and make sure we get it right. And then we need to run it by Tom and make sure that we're legal in our wording and our assignment of duties. And we should not have a problem, depending on Josie's availability to us, of getting that done. It will take an hour or two for us to sit down and do that. So that's what we're looking at doing. We need to get it right. When you have a new position like this, you need to have it right. But then there's the domino effect that is going to change a few others that we need to take care of right now. And at the same time, we may look at getting closer to a final job description and title on the special assistant to city council or city administrator. We have a draft of job description there. But again, what we do with the other 3 positions is also going to affect what we put on this one, or what we put on the city administrator job description could affect what Josie and Virginia and the assistant secretary will do. So we'll probably be looking at all 4 of these together. It's an exercise that we need to do.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, press go ahead and table until the next meeting.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. And consider an act upon promoting Paulo Rios to assistant city secretary position and providing pay increase.
Again, I suggest that I make a motion to table this until next meeting, when we have an opportunity to finalize the job description, then we can take action on this item.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Got a second? Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, consider an act upon allowing city secretary to advertise for permit, tax, and utility clerk position.
Again, we're in the domino effect here. If indeed we promote Paula, that makes a vacancy in the position she's currently filling. But we cannot go out advertising for that position until we get our job description done, until the city council approves promoting Paula. And so I move that we table this until the other items are taken care of.
Second.
Got a second? Okay. Any further discussion on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Let's see, P, consider an act upon allowing the city secretary to advertise for financial director position.
I think we should do this, and I make a motion that we allow the city secretary to go out and advertise for the position of financial director.
Second.
Second. Discussion?
Now, David, earlier you said that Debbie has said that we might just need almost a consultant CPA, right? As opposed to a full-time finance
No.
director.
I asked her about that.
Yeah.
And I asked her if we could, just get somebody on standby, like, come in a couple days a week. She said, no, this is a full-time position. So the part about the CPA is you hire someone who is a certified CPA, you can get them for a lower wage starting out, and then you given the requisite training to be a fully qualified financial director for the city. And then,
So more for like an interim
well, no,
personnel coming in, I'm just trying to understand, like, why are you gonna be, because Edward, you know, he did not meet a lot of the job description requirements, right, we hired him on as finance director. I'm just curious as to whether or not we can have, a city accountant do what he was doing, and then promote him, you know, we're talking about promoting within.
Mhm.
Bump that city accountant up to finance director after they've proven themselves, because I think that there were some issues with
This
the
is-
shop.
this is what would be involved if we cannot find a fully qualified financial director. And if we find one who's been working in the city somewhere, unless they just want to move out to the country here and maybe take a pay cut from the big city, we're probably not going to find him for what we were offering Edward right out of the chute. So, our fallback is to, probably advertise along the lines of a financial director / certified CPA, and we'll have to work on the wording of that. And pay this person in a probationary pay until our trainer says they are a qualified financial director, and that would have to be written into the contract that we make with the person if we have to go with CPA.
We're gonna set a salary for that, or,
We're,
because we're paying Edward, what?
55, wasn't it?
No, $65,000, this med probation is gonna be in place.
do we have to advertise the pay range when we advertise?
Well, that's part of the negotiations,
Yeah.
so you actually go and do that.
So we probably need to advertise for,
The
qualified.
the budget is already set, so we have that flexibility to be able to do that. It's more of just being able to have the opportunity to kind of look at it. So I think that's where the financial advisor would be able to help us out, you know?
Yeah.
And be able to kind of narrow it down.
Then, Ms. Frazier mentioned she had trainers or consultants.
Yes.
That we could, check with to train the
Yes.
CPA.
Yes. Yeah, Ms. Fraser's been doing city audits for cities across South Texas for, over 30 years. So she knows folks, there are a couple ladies she knows who, were city managers or city finance directors. They retired when they were fully vested. And now they do consulting and training for exactly this thing. This idea of hiring a CPA and professionally training them is kind of the way people go, because you just can't find fully qualified financial directors. So she has the names of two ladies that she's worked with quite a bit, and she'll turn us on to them if we go that way. So we just, the motion would be that we go out and advertise for this position, and we need to come up with the right wording in the advertising.
So I got a motion, I got a second. Let's go ahead and advertise. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Nay.
Favor? Okay, so 4 and 1 nay. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, next item on the agenda, actually, David, thank you so much. I know that was a lot of material in different areas, so yeah, appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is an update, TechStop meeting. Here, within the last week, we had a chance to go ahead and get together with TechStop and kind of make sure that we prioritize the different projects and different things that we have. So you guys should actually have a few documents that I'm gonna refer to. Should have the PowerPoint slideshow that we actually used. And then you should have 2 pieces of paper. You should have, Charles, you made with the streets, or I'm sorry, the sidewalk project that we actually have. And then you should have another one, another colored one, and this is based on a proposal that they were looking at a particular area. We'll cover that later on. So if you can have those 3 areas, those 3 things there, handy, just as we refer to them. Use the slides for right now. That's the one we're gonna go ahead and use. So, just to kind of go through it really quick. I don't want to take too much time to just bring you up to speed what happened. On slide number 2 on there, we flip over on top, it was basically our opportunity to talk about the different home developments, some of the business developments that are happening in some key corners. So we had a chance to kind of talk about that and mention some of the main things that we're concerned about constructions. Specifically, we were talking about the business in the corner of 3175 with the indication of that having the 18 wheelers on there. And we'll come back to that a little bit later on. The next slide, slide number 3 on there, this was a chance for us to ask TxDOT to give us an update on any construction that is going on. Right now, the overall construction they had on 35 is completely done. This was putting the cabling in the middle, the safety, so vehicles, they have a blowout that they don't actually go into oncoming traffic. So they're completely done with that. The big project that is happening here in the near future, and we want everybody to know about, is happening in our frontage roads. We're talking between 2790 and 3175. Along that corridor in there, they're gonna go ahead and start working on widening those roads and putting sidewalks. So expect, probably, it could be somewhere between December to February timeframe. They're probably gonna start this project, it's gonna go over 200+ days. They're gonna have to convert the roads for a temporary basis as a one-way on those roads. So you're literally gonna have to, because they're gonna close one side as they work on the others. So expect for a few months, that's starting around that time frame that they're gonna be working on that. So keep that in mind as we get closer and we get more indications, but that's the next major TxDOT project in our area that's gonna affect the traffic. So important that we also, take into consideration some of the heavy users like the school district and stuff like that. So we need to get the word out to be able to do that. Next slide, slide number 4. This is basically the one that Richie was talking about earlier. You go on the light, this is if you're coming from Bill Miller's and you're heading to that corner where you'll have the HB parking lot on the left-hand side. That light turns green at the same time that the people coming off the off-ramp turns. We asked them to go ahead and make a modification to offset the lights. They told us that here by the middle of October, so here within the next week or 2, they should be done with that project. We've been waiting for them. They had to get different type of equipment according to them, and they're going to program it. So hopefully we'll able to just be able to put it in a way where both of them are not turning, and they'll help. And they'll help out with some of the traffic. We brought up the traffic in line of Somerset that went along with that. Slide number 5, this is right in front of our building right in here. We had asked for an update where we're at with some of the light and the signaling. I don't know if you noticed here in the last week, they actually been working on that. They actually even changed, now you have a reflective thing on these lights right in here, and they're actually gonna be working on that. The cool thing about this intersection is not only they told us about what the work they're doing with the lights and the sensors, but they told us that they said that they found some money, and it looks very promising. They were working with James, with utilities along the route. It looks like it's very probable for the funding to be available, where they might be able to give us a dedicated right turn lane in there. So being able to move things and kind of help a lot of the costs with the utilities that go along with that. So there's a high probability. They told us they would keep us posted as we went along, but we might have some good work coming to us. If this happened, more than likely it'll happen more towards the summer of next year. Okay, so there's still some work that is going to happen with that, but just to let you know. Next slide, number 6. We're still working on trying to include LIDO on one of our southbound exit signs. All of our signs say there's 3 signs: Benton City Road, Benton City Road, Benton City Road, and then you have City of Lido. If you take exit 132, that one says Lido, but the ones leading into the ramp that goes right there and where the old days in was at, all say Benton City, none of them say Lido. So we've been requesting, it looks like the summer. They said that based on the turnaround and the projections that in July 22, they're going to change one of those signs. So we should be able to include Lido in one of those signs. Preferably, we mentioned the last sign before the exit, if it's possible. But they told us it would help us out, so we're going to keep doing that. The other sign we wanted to include was a Purple Heart City. We're working on trying to change just a regular sign that says Lido City Limits along I-35 and make it into into a Y or a U, so we can actually put the city limits and we can put the Purple Heart City sign up attached to it. Okay. Next slide, number 7. This one with the transportation and the sidewalks. Charles, would you like to go ahead and talk about that one?
Sure, I mean, I was gonna talk about this a little bit later in the meeting with the liaison report, but we'll talk about it right now too. Just kind of brief text dot on the grant application that we had submitted and how we were open to find something out in the next week or so, really. Excuse me, I'm anticipating that, of course, by the end of the month for sure, but this week, I hope that we find out that, we've been awarded this grant. So the handout in front of you, that's what
Looks like this.
Kimberly Horn had put together in our application to TxDOT. It kind of just shows you the scope of the project and what we're hoping to accomplish in that. So, just kind of reiterated during the meeting with TxDOT that it's going to be a great thing for our community to have, and it's going to make the campuses for the school district a little bit safer when the kids going to the library or to the sports field, wherever they might be going. But something that's been long overdue, and I'm going to be highly optimistic that we're awarded this grant later this month.
Thanks, Charles. Appreciate that. The other thing that we also mentioned in the same slide was also the municipal maintenance agreement. During the meeting, they made a mention that there was an agreement that we had from 2011. They came back and basically provided an update, a correction. The last agreement that we had was from 1970, 1974 timeframe. So it's not a deliverable, like we need to go ahead and come up with an agreement. We have time to play with that. We're gonna go ahead and put the documents together. We're gonna send them over to Tom to go ahead and take a look at it.
I've got a comment on that right now. We need to keep that agreement the same way it is, because they take care of all the maintenance. And that's what they've been doing since the agreement that the mayor's talking about.
Have you looked at the new one?
I haven't looked at the proposal. I looked at the one that's in existence now.
I'd like you to take a look at the new one.
And Blackie Pop was the mayor. That's back in the 70s.
I'll provide the other one. They were trying to find, supposedly we had a 2011, but it didn't happen.
That application or the agreement that you're talking about, Kimberly Horn attached it to our application for the sidewalks. It's on there. I don't know. We had a meeting when Christian was here, and I asked her about that agreement, and I asked her to get me a copy, and she never did. It showed up on the application for the sidewalk.
Roger that. So they'll come back to you for us to go ahead and consider as a council, but just want to let you know we got something. They told us we had time, but yeah, we definitely need to go back and provide some guidance based on the original agreement. Okay, the next slide, number 8, this is putting a traffic light coming across 2790 and 132. This is on the road coming from the school, right in front of the library on there. So there was a few discussions on there. We were talking about maybe trying to slow down people on 132. I think Richie brought up an example of a recent accident that happened in there. We're trying to get some sort of assistance. But Lalo, one of the folks that works for them, pretty much said that it's on the board. He's actually working on it. The first coordination is actually going to the Union Pacific and asking for assistance with that. So he's supposed to send that over for them to take a look at it. We told them we could help them out with that, so we can kind of keep it moving along. The cost is extreme for that intersection because the lights and the switch for the actual arms, there's a certain type of equipment, and they estimated around $1 million. That's something that they would take care of, but it comes along. It is a state highway, so but they would need to take a look at making all that. But it seemed, from what I understood in the meeting, that they're moving along. They support. That means that we have the traffic counts for us to be able to do that. So we're going to continue and press on with that, and hopefully in the not near future, it's going to take a while, but in the future we'll actually have a light there that'll help out. Our traffic is not going to get any easier as our homes come up, and we have a lot more parents that are going through that area. And kids driving to school and everything is just gonna get, so I know it's not gonna be a matter of traffic count, it's more of just getting the coordination of the paperwork. Next slide, number 9, this is on this sidewalk that is right here next to the tire shop. They're still re-looking at it, they still need to figure out what they need to do. It doesn't meet the minimums to us, it's very obvious, it doesn't have the width and the safety that goes along with that. Nobody knows, does anybody know or who put that sidewalk up? When it was put up, because it seemed like it was like this, everybody pointing, you know, but.
It had to be mid-70s.
So that bridge actually does need some work on there as a crossway, even for a normal person. It's actually supposed to be ADA compliant, so they're gonna keep working on that one. Slide number 10 on there, this is basically on and off ramps, and looking for some assistance with that. We're still pushing and asking for help because with all the growth and everything happening eventually, there's no money available right now for this to happen. They asked for us to get some sort of push or help. Later on in the meeting, I'll talk about a congressional visit that we actually had and get a chance to talk to Congressman Cuellar, and it has a little bit of a tie that goes along with this. But just want the council to be aware, we did bring up about our concerns with on-ramp, especially the northbound. If you're coming from Laredo, we got one exit, that's it. If you miss that exit, it's 3.5 miles down the road, turn around, and 3.5 miles back to Lido. So we need to figure something out. Slide number 11 on there is just looking for better adjustments on 3175 because that's going to be the first major intersection that you're going to see. Unfortunately, they don't have anything that they're looking at to try to help out except the widening of the frontage roads. We're very limited both on 3175 and 2790 of putting sidewalks just because it's gonna require some re-engineering and a lot of work in that area. But we're gonna keep it, and we're gonna keep it as an item for discussion, so we can go ahead and look. And of course, that intersection is also the one where that big super convenience store / truck stop. So they're still working on that, trying to figure out if there's gonna be a way. I know we all gave our 2 cents worth on that and asked for some assistance because getting semis coming off of that ramp, the ramp is too quick, there's not enough room. There was a few suggestions of moving the ramp, they're still trying to iron it out. So I think there's gonna be more work that is gonna happen. Slide number 12, this is the opportunity we had asked last time. As you know, we've gotten a lot of feedback about how quickly people get on North Prairie and the speed on there, even with the speed bumps and everything else to try to slow it down. We have a handout that I passed out. That's the other colored handout that you have. This is what they provided us of them. They're going to continue looking at it. They suggested that we actually get something from the homeowner that gets affected for us to work on the resolution from the city of actually trying to change the intersection. And then it helps if we get a petition from the Prairie homeowners to tell us that they would like to relook at it. I think Richie said, when you look at this design, Richie, you said that Mayor Fincher had actually designed this.
That is very close to what 15 or 20 years ago, or I guess it'd be closer to 17, 18 years ago, that Mayor Fincher designed on some paper, basically requiring you to go up North Prairie Street and at the end of North Prairie, put a stop sign where it meets Lake. You would then have to turn onto Lake Street, then come to a stop sign on 2790 North, make either a left-hand or a right-hand turn. And it would effectively slow traffic down, eliminate people rocket shooting off that Y there. And that's exactly what we talked about years ago, and that's what the TxDOT engineers came up with. That is all their property. I think before we were under the assumption that it was partially ours, mostly theirs, partially ours and theirs. And evidently this is mostly, everything is mostly their property. So that makes it easier to do something with it.
So there'll be some work that we'll need to do. Like I said, this is a discussion point as a way to kind of slow things down and make it a little bit more easier in a sense of people being able to come in and come out without having to deal with the zooming through that intersection. I just wanted to provide this, there's gonna be more to come on that, for us to take into consideration. But I think overall, it seemed like the meeting went very well. We got a lot of information. We appreciate TxDOT taking the lead. It seems like every time we schedule a meeting, we get a little bit more movement. So it's really good, because we got some areas that really do need some help along our city. And as things kind of curve, we'll let you know. Once again, the things that we need to kind of keep in the forefront is the frontage roads, somewhere between December to February timeframe, then we're getting started with that. And then, of course, working on the light on this side, trying to offset some of the things that go along with that. We'll keep you posted on that. Does anybody have any questions? Or those of you that were there, did we miss out any other critical information that we need to provide? James?
We were working at the lights today on the access road.
Oh, good,
They were up there.
good. Hopefully soon. They said that by the middle of October to get it done, so we're within, the same week of being able to. That'll be a big help too. Avoid any issues with that. Okay. Okay, next item, let's go ahead and move on. R, discuss and consider adopting a paid quarantine leave policy on that. All right. I think, Tom, did you have that?
I did. The legislature passed a law, this past legislature, and they mandated that cities pay their first responders for any quarantine that's caused by a communicable disease. Not just COVID, but any type of communicable disease. So there's some discussion about that. Could be flu, could be anything, but it's, whatever's communicable. So we've got to do it. We're required by law to do that. And another thing I'd like to mention is that our COVID sick leave policy expired at the end of September. If you remember, we had a choice whether we wanted to have it expire at the end of September or at the end of the year, and the council chose at the end of September. So we're going to have to renew that.
Okay.
So in Josie's situation, we're going to have to go back and make it retroactive if you guys want to, but she was out after the end of September.
She doesn't have any sick leave.
I'm not, she doesn't.
Probably 10 million hours.
So this one is just for first responders.
That's correct.
Because I noticed the title on there just said police,
That's correct.
peace officers.
That's all we've got in the city.
So,
We just have the police officers. Other people have EMTs, firefighters. We don't have any of those. The only thing we've got are police officers.
so that was a mandatory thing. Was there anything that we needed to consider for the rest of the employees also to be considered on this?
It's up to the council. No, we had the law specifically pertaining to police officers. And we've got to do it.
We had the other one for end of September, right? So
Yeah, that covered all the employees. That's correct.
But council, this is our chance also, if we wanted to go ahead and make it as part of the leave policy, and then the next item will be the ordinance, and we'll get into that. But do you guys want to include all of our employees, just not only our peace officers in there?
Can we do that on the,
Can we make a motion here?
can we do that tonight? On the,
Bring it
on this, vote? I mean, on this.
Well, it doesn't, the agenda item is discuss and consider adopting a paid quarantine leave policy. So you could include the other employees if you wanted to.
I'll make a motion. So,
Okay, got a motion?
And I'll put that second.
Got a second? Okay. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
I'll have to change the ordinance up because it specifically pertains to police officers, so.
We'll give it so S, discuss and consider adopting the ordinance for paid quarantine leave policy. This is the actual ordinance.
That's correct.
So, you want to bring that back, or we can go ahead and make the motion? We're just going to change it from police officers.
You can do that. You can change it to include all city employees, and I'll make the corrections and get it to the mayor for his signature.
I'd like that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Okay. Second, Joseph, thank you. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much, appreciate that. And thanks, Tom, on that, appreciate it. Yeah, we'll take care of that. All right, okay, so one of the things that we get a chance to be able to do tonight is we also get a chance to, be able to discuss, or get an idea of what's going on with our different areas and our liaison. This is one of the things that we said that we would do on a quarterly basis. So nothing formal, it's your opportunity, whichever way you want to present the information. I know I sent out an email and just said, here's some sample of questions and things to kind of generate thoughts. But it's totally up to you how you would like to go in and report, but this is your chance. So the first one that we have is library liaison. So Joseph.
For you, went ahead and printed it out. I went ahead and used your layout, Mayor. And I was met with Cassandra and Joe, and we talked about the library. And we've talked a few times before this. And so what we have here is, I could have put a lot of this in quotes, a lot of it's direct responses to the questions from them. So how is the library doing overall? It is doing well. It's been slow because of COVID over the past year, but when they are having projects that are keeping them busy or they have to be more busy, they have an occasional strain because they are missing that one employee. Are they on target? They said the majority of their plans are doing well. They're on track. The email that you sent out mentioning the overdue notice and computer policies, those have been put on hold because they've been busy. And also Cassandra told me that our city attorney advised her to make sure that those policies were taken slow and done accurately and correctly. When asked about any open agenda items, they said no. So that's what I put there. Does the library have any projects they are working on? They are currently working on a new labeling system. It's more user-friendly for patrons of the library, and we are patrons of the library, and it's very helpful for us and our little girl. What it is, I don't know all the details on it, but it helps you find, like, for instance, Fiona reads a lot of chapter books and series, and like I would have to dig and look for copyright dates and stuff, but they've marked them in order, and it's very helpful. It saves time. Does the library have adequate funding for their operations and projects? They could use some additional funding, as could all of our departments, I'm sure, to offer more programs for the library patrons, specifically homeschoolers. They said that now they're having a lot more homeschoolers, and it would be great to offer them some things, and I agree with that. And some of the things that came up were, how do we fund that, because taxpayer money for some of that stuff might be, depending on what it is, might not be something they can do. Does the library have any other issues that affect their operations? Really, the only one that they mentioned was the employee they would like to hire, which is in the budget for the next fiscal year, so they can do that, as far as I understand. And does the library need anything from the council to assist their operations? And this was all about maintenance. The library needs maintenance. They need a new roof. They told me that the storage building that's outside is needing some repairs and possible relocation. I think that it collects water when it rains between the curb and the building. There's some damage, and I think it's a little too close to the building. I don't remember all the details there, but it needs some repairs to it. The door frame in the conference room is like cracking at the edge and falling, kind of starting to fall out. Recessed lighting, they like new lighting, and that, we talked about that. I can totally picture, they've got those like these, but they're exposed. I can totally picture like my kid throwing something and it just shattering over somebody's head, so that's understandable. Now, you and I spoke about the vegetables, so there's something about that I don't know all the details about, but it sounds awesome. A vegetable for electric conservation, keep some of the AC in. Safety for elderly and children, kind of holding back the traffic that comes through, because if you have a kid dart out in front of a car, or an old elderly person trying to get in or out, they can easily get hit, as well as creating a seating area in that spot to take that spot over and make it productive and really nice and inviting. And then either side would be a parking lot. Those the concrete table and benches, they'd like something a little safer, because if one of those fell over onto someone, it would be pretty bad. And parts of the ceiling are cracking and need a little bit of repair. So that's what we talked about. If there's anything else, Cassandra can help us out with that, but this was just pretty much what we covered last week.
Really appreciate that. Council, questions on the report? Any concerns?
Did I do it well? It's my first one, I'm sorry.
Hey, it's gonna be the first time for everybody, so, yeah, it worked out really good.
Thank you.
Okay.
I love that.
That was good. I think Cassandra, one of the things is try to maybe get with James, see if maybe some of these things we can actually address and be able to take care of. Those things that we need to go ahead and get estimates, let's get the estimates, whether we can do it, or maybe we need to include it on the next budget, or if it's significant.
That's why I figured that some of this would be like for a future project, but we just mentioned everything that,
Yeah, no, definitely. I know we've talked about some of these for a while, so definitely something to be able to put it down and have it in place, and we have it in reference. All of us might be working at different things, but knowing what the library needs, we might be able to win-win situation, right? Be able to put things together to kind of help out. So,
Sorry to interrupt. Also, I didn't put it, I don't know why I just forgot, but after we did this, we discussed the septic tank, which I don't know if you got that fixed or not.
No, I hadn't talked to him yet about it.
Okay, well, it's in need of repair as well.
Yeah, we had already talked about it. We have a solution for it already, so.
It's kind of starting to overflow a little bit.
yeah. But those are the things. So this is good. This is good, and get an indication and stuff. Try to see how much we can do of it in-house, and the other stuff, let's go ahead and start getting the prices and the quotes and everything. If we don't have the money, at least we have an idea how much it's gonna cost. And that way we can go ahead and take care of that. On the policy, on the stuff for the computer policies that we actually have in the overdue notices, are those a requirement or a state requirement? Do we
No, I
have
was
to
just
have them?
wanting to update them, but because we don't have that fourth employee, I'm putting it on the back burner until we hire somebody, because it's kind of hard. We get busy, and we got a new phone system and the other day, and we only had one phone, so everybody's scrambling to answer the phone. They finally brought us 4 phones, and then one phone would ring, and the other phone, and you're like, okay, which one do we answer? Because it's like 2 lines, but we're like, we only have 1 line, what's going on? So it was kind of,
Okay, so
they
still
finally
need-
fixed it,
They
but-
still need to be taken care of.
yeah, well, that's why I put them on the back burner until I could get the 4th person hired. Because
So,
we just wanted to update them to kind of clean them up a little bit. is all.
do you need any help with the hiring the person?
Uh,
What's the plan
no.
with that?
We were just waiting till the new fiscal year, and now that the new fiscal
No.
year, yeah. So I just have to put it on the next agenda that we want to hire.
Okay. Put that on here. Any questions, council? Anything on, anything? All right. Well, thanks so much. Appreciate it, Joe.
You're going to say, are we not doing the district reports with this meeting?
You could if you wanted.
I don't really have anything to report. I just was wondering. Vic's Casino's doing great. That's what I got. They're killing it. I bought one of their apples the other day. It's really good. But as far as other than that, I'm not aware of any other report.
Appreciate that.
I'm not as efficient as Joseph here, so I didn't put out a report, but I did meet with Rasheed, and we went out with some points.
Okay.
And we always stay in contact. Whenever we need something, he'll call me. If he needs to hire a police officer, he'll call me. If he needs to, police officer needs to take a vacation, he calls me. If somebody's sick, he calls me. And if he needs to give a raise to one of the police officers before he puts it on the agenda, he calls me. I did ask him about what the Tahoe's. He said that y'all haven't heard anything back, right?
They're still on orders,
Still
yeah.
on order.
Same game as before.
And if he needs equipment, he usually calls me. I need radios or whatever. We stay in contact all the time. He told me when Paula was gonna move to the city, he was gonna let Danny do some of her duties, because he's paying for that. But they're gonna do some more stuff, trying to study, see what else they come up with. And that's about it. he usually calls me, or if I need something, I call him. But we did meet today and we went over some other points. And on the animal control, me and the mayor met with, Santi. We asked him to clean the facilities before they leave every day. I don't know, if they're not, I haven't been over there, and I sent him some word, but we also asked him to, let us, give us a phone numbers for whoever's gonna be on call, and make sure that, they answer the phones, because, people have called, and nobody picks up the phone. But today I emailed him, texted him, you sent out email to everybody yet?
Yes.
You sent out email to everybody with all the people that work there, who's gonna be on call. And, how about have y'all put up the gates yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. That's about it on that.
And so one of the things that came out of that is just like Richie sends out his roster and kind of tells us who's on shift and, the availability and who to contact and stuff. Something's helping us out with that. So you'll be receiving, just like you get from Richie, we get something from Animal Care and Control for us to kind of get an idea. Because we also get the calls, right? Somebody sees something, they need some help, it would probably be important, but it helps our law enforcement folks too, in case they need to get a hold of somebody. So I appreciate you making that adjustment, Santi. I think that's gonna help us out across the board and be able to do that. So, is there anything, Sam, whether it's PD or Animal Care Control, in the sense of what that the council needs to help out with? And I know Rich is really good about coming and asking for stuff. Is there anything that, for the council?
We work directly, like when this system was set up with liaisons, I remember when they did it. I mean, our communication is constant flow, both ways. And if we waited every quarter for him to give you a report about something, as far as I'm concerned, that's too outdated. I mean, we have an issue, we want to get it out there, notify the mayor, the liaison, constantly, So, if we had an issue, a serious issue, you would already know about it. I mean, that's just the way it should be, because you're the ones ultimately gonna be, I only have limited that I can do. The council's the one in charge of everything, I'm just the guy kind of hired to manage stuff. So Sam's always available. He calls me, I call him nights, day, weekends. And, we just stay constantly in contact, and as I do with the mayor as well.
Good. Appreciate that. Okay, next one up, C, Paul Liaison report.
My report you heard already. The big issue in City Hall right now is getting positions filled. We have them all identified, we have them funded. We're just working on the job descriptions now, ready to move as soon as we come back to the council and have them approve a job description on the assistant secretary. You heard the rest of my report tonight. There are things, and you've all heard Josie talk about things that she wants to get done and hadn't been able to get done. The move to an assistant secretary, we hope is going to help her finally, and also getting the financial director in place to take that huge responsibility off of Josie as the primary person. She'll still be involved, but of course she'll have more time. This is going to allow her to get into the files, get all the purging done, all the organization, getting things together in one place, and she wants to do that. So I think we're at the point now, we're right on the cusp of getting these positions filled and getting a little more orderly flow of business, I think you'd say, in City Hall. And that's what I've been focusing on right now with Josie and the other folks over there. So the other fine issues like Josie talked about, I don't have those right now. These are the priority things, and that's what we're getting on.
That's good. Derek, Public Works?
The, James, said they had some, breakages, on the printer. Got a motor out, and there's a motor out at the, sewage plant and motor well number 2. And he's not certain how much this is gonna cost. And he feels it's in the budget, or the budget that he has now. But if it's not, then I will, we'll give the information to the council. And then he's training some new workers that are working out pretty good, he said. And of course, already heard that the tires were moved. And then he said they received 141 of the new meters in. And there will be pretty soon some training. The company will come out and train the people in the field for this. And that's pretty much it. I asked if there was anything that he needed the council to work with him, or he said he's okay now. But if he is, he'll let me know. So that's the pretty much it.
Awesome. It's good to hear the smart meters are in. That's great.
I think we're gonna start installing this week. We got 25 valves in today, and Virginia gave us a list of the 25 lots. And we can read them by hand until we get the training. Training's gonna take about 3 days, and need the girls in the office to have some time off, and a couple, 2 or 3 guys that are gonna be driving.
You put the antenna on the vehicle, is that how it works?
Yes,
A
sir.
little tablet or something?
Yeah, tablet and truck.
They have 3 trucks come in too. They all come in. So,
Awesome.
Can we start driving them?
so
Waiting for the decals, right? Or do we have the decals?
Should have
Not
Friday.
working on the decals.
Matt designed them, but I ordered them, be Friday. Should be Friday. He's gonna install them, so if they're ready Friday, you can put them on Friday.
Yeah, we're not, I'll put them, we don't need that.
Did they already come with the lights, or you guys need to put the lights on the top?
Just headlights and taillights.
Oh,
We got the other stuff in. They
So-
just got in.
There was no money, I guess, budgeted to buy the safety lighting, so when they were working like next to the street, Wisconsin was able to find some, so we were able to get them something, which is better than nothing.
so those will need to install this.
Yeah, I think they're gonna work on that, they were given everything already.
Okay. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. Any questions? Okay. Street liaison.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that we talked about this earlier about the sidewalks. I feel like that's kind of streets and sidewalks is rolled into one. But again, I'm very optimistic that we're gonna have this grant awarded to us here in the next month. In addition to that, there's some other grant opportunities out there that I'll bring before the council. Maybe we choose to pursue them as well. I think it's, the meeting that we had with TxDOT last week, I think it's very productive, and as the mayor said earlier, there's a lot of activity going on. TxDOT's taking a good hard look at Lytle and, fixing some of the issues that we have. So while we can keep that ball rolling, I think is important. So the grants, and I've said this before, once we cross 5,000 people, and we fall into a different bracket as far as different funding opportunities go. So I'm not gonna say we're milking it because we're in need of it. It's something that we haven't pursued over the years. But moving forward, I wanna, in the next couple of months, I wanna bring some options. In addition, now that we have our audits, maybe we pursue some other funding avenues as well to fix some of the other issues with our streets. That's just gonna improve everything for everyone. But other than that, I'm just glad we got our streets finally selected. I think, James, we're gonna probably gonna get started on that soon.
And we got to measure
Yeah,
the width and the length of.
so, here by the end of the year, you think once they get it, once we get it submitted, they're gonna knock it out in a hurry, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Are they gonna do it now? Because the winter coming up.
don't they prefer doing it in the fall? As long as it's not freezing, right?
Yeah, we usually do them about this time of year.
I think the last time that they did the streets, it was in mid-November. So, hopefully we can get that going and we can, continue making some improvements on that department. But other than that, let's just keep our fingers crossed, say your, prayers that we get this grant, because that's gonna be big, I think, help to the community having the sidewalks.
Good. James Peace, on the streets, please make sure that when we're working with a contractor, they understand with driveways, leveling it off, so we don't run into that. Okay. So let's be very specific with that, make sure that we do that. Okay, any questions? Yes.
I just got a couple of things, Mayor. I wanted you to click on the draw on the library. A couple of meetings back, Saturday night, we talked to y'all about the fine policy. I think that was something that was mentioned
Overdue
tonight
policy.
too. Yeah, fine policy. On October the 1st, we told you that we needed to proceed with caution on that. On October the 1st, San Antonio Public Library did away with all of the late fines, all of them. Because they don't do any good. And they create bad feelings between the patrons and the staff. So I just wanted to correct the.
Some people are okay with paying the 25 cents if it's one day, and then you get these people who are upset, it's 25 cents. I was late one day, and they get so upset over it, and I'm like, I know, but you renew it, you could put it in the book drop, we give them all these options. We call them, they can renew, they can reserve, they can do all kinds of stuff, but they get upset over it. So
back to the question, are we required to have one?
I have to talk to the state library. A lot of libraries are doing away with but some people, that's their main income that comes into the library. Like some of the libraries, that's their main income, they have to use the fines.
But
So-
thankfully, that's not our situation.
Yeah, that's not our situation,
So
so
we, and I think we could prefer that we not have the fines, because
sometimes sometimes it's better that way, if they can't, like the book, if they did damage it, we ask them, okay, all you need to do, go on Amazon, order another copy, and we'll take it that way. We'll do an even exchange.
How much do y'all collect annually, if you don't mind me asking, in unpaid fines?
I'd have to look it up, I don't have the numbers on hand, but
Probably.
not
Yeah.
much.
it's not enough, yeah. Sometimes you get like $30 in a week, sometimes you get $2 in the week, it just depends.
That was me. $2.
That's us. We pay a lot of fines when what did it used to be, 10 cents?
Yeah, it was 10 cents and
Then
5
they went
cents.
25
We just went
cents.
25 cents.
Luke almost picked the library over.
Yeah, it's just sometimes you get those people who don't want to pay, and there's people, it's only 25 cents, here, let me give you some more, because they feel bad after, that they've kept the book longer, and then you have these other people who just don't want to refuse to pay it.
So,
I'll get with the state library and get
just
some more
find out, and
information.
if we don't, then it's your call to be able to bring to council and say whether you want to keep it or you don't want to keep it, or if you want to do some sort of modified thing.
Yeah,
Just so we
I'm
can
gonna
just,
talk to the other libraries too, and see, around the area, and see if we take a poll with them,
at least we know, because if we don't need to have it and you don't want it, that's
Yeah.
not even matter.
right?
I mean, honestly.
Well, it was perceived as being a tool that would kind of help people bring the books back. But that's just not the way it works, especially 25 cents. That's not, it's just not there. And then if they don't pay us, we're gonna take them to small claims court.
Let me explain what happens in scenarios like that. In my own opinion, I feel 100% that this is true. When I was in the restaurant business, a person would write me a $4 hot check for lunch. And out of embarrassment or feeling uncomfortable, they would never come back for 6 months because they didn't want to address that $4 hot check. If you have people that have a small fine, they're going to be less, they're going to feel, I don't want to go back, I owe them money over 25 cents. And you're going to cut down on their ability to serve, the library ability to serve those people. So I think a lot of it is, I think that's what it is. People freak out.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, I owe my, and they'll avoid you. And see, like, some people will see me in the store and they avoid me and go the other direction because they don't want to, they're like, oh no, I owe her,
That's exactly what I.
I've heard
how
rude you are, Cassandra. Council,
Tim owe that lady money, she's gonna take my knees out.
I would like the council to revisit.
one at a time, hold on.
Revisit item S on the paid leave ordinance. If we could make that retroactive to October the first, because our policy ended September, 30th.
Okay, Virginia, can you go back to
So
this? Who made
S
the motion?
says, so S was to amend the wording for the city employees to say, all city employees don't. Are you changing the one above it that
No,
expired on September 30?
that was informational, that was information only. And there's two different policies. One we had for the peace officers, that's what we're talking about tonight. And then the council said, let's go ahead and amend that to include all the employees, not just the peace officers.
Right.
But the policy that we did have in effect ended September 30th.
Yes, sir.
And that's gonna catch at least one employee that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So if we could make this ordinance, retroactive to October 1st.
So that would be 4 Rs we're looking at, because you said that.
That'd be S.
Yes,
Yes.
can you look at S and who made the motion, Virginia?
That was
for
me,
S?
I made the motion.
You made the
It was
motion?
Sam did the motion, and then Joseph did the second.
Okay,
So
so
I'll make it
Sam,
retroactive, yeah.
you wanna go ahead and make an amendment to
Yeah, I'll
that?
make an amendment, retroactive to October first.
Okay, Joseph,
Second.
okay,
October 1st.
any discussion on that? All those in favor, based on the amendment? Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, appreciate that, Tom. Okay, real quickly, anything else on the liaison reports before we move on, and I'll close it up, I got some informational items I wanna pass on. Nope. What you guys feel, liaison reports? Good, yeah, I think it was pretty good. Maybe get a little bit of everything, kind of get a perspective, I think it's good. Once again, once a quarter, if it is something hot, we need to bring it up, but we get a chance to be able to bring up some of the stuff that's going on. Okay, for ancient informational items, we're still dealing with the COVID, our numbers are going lower all the way across all 3 counties, just talking to some of the folks, which is a good trend. But we still have it out there, so, being precautious and just being able to take care of each other is important to do that. We did have a congressional visit that happened. There was a few of the council members, we got together with Congressman Cuellar. We had a chance to he wanted to talk about different things that are going on and opportunities. This is where we kind of pushed about the ramp and try to highlight the priorities and that particular priority and getting some sort of assistance. He did mention some people that are supposed to be reaching out to us to be able to help us out. But we have started a discussion with that, especially since it's this corridor, the majority of that corridor belongs to him. Is there anything, for those of you that were there, is there anything else that we want to mention that came out of that conversation? No? Okay. I wanted to pass on Commissioner Nolan, apologize he couldn't be here. He did want me to pass on some comments on his behalf. He said that they're going to be, we briefly discussed, this is at Commissioner's Court in Atascosa, discuss redistricting. They're going to have a special meeting here in the near future. Precinct 2, which is where we belong at, he said we'll be requiring to give up territory as we are approximately 3,200 citizens over the other precincts. So there's going to be a readjustment in the Atascosa precincts, according to him. Says he'll keep us informed and let us know how the map would look otherwise within the next couple of weeks. They'll make a decision. So redistricting coming out of Atascosa side. Halloween is right around the corner. Doing anything different, everything is going to be open. Richie's helping us out with some of the streets that need a little bit of extra attention. We're still going to go ahead in the sense of the 31st. People have been asking if there was going to be any kind of modifications. Nothing like that is going to happen. So,
Can I ask one question? We're gonna have a float for the, I believe that we addressed that already, for the homecoming.
Josie is working on that in the sense of being prepared for the homecoming event.
On the, council float, would it be appropriate to have like grandkids put this on?
So let's find out. I know in the next meeting, we're gonna talk about it, and we'll see how much room we actually have. We usually have room in the floats, but we'll have to find out. Let's see what Josie's planning, and then we can take it from there. I know there's always been a lot of room and stuff. So, yeah, and just so you know, I want us all together, so I want, you know, I wanna sit with you guys, okay? So we'll be all together in the same float. Birthdays. Jerry, on the 4th of October, right?
14th, Thursday.
Oh, the 14th.
Today I gotta go back to the dentist.
Oh, okay. So right around the corner. I wrote that down. So the 14th we had, actually we had Danny, right, Richie?
Yes, Danny.
Danny on the 7th we had.
59.
Actually, tomorrow is Skip's birthday tomorrow, so make sure
71.
you find him, buy him lunch, give him a donut, you know, something. They'll come over, help him out. On the 24th of October, Diane from Municipal Court will be her birthday. And then to round it off and finish up strong, the month of Richie on the 31st. So make sure when he's driving around patrolling, you can give him a little extra.
Supposed to be trick or treat, unfortunately.
Anything, Luke? Take care of the 31st. That'll be good.
That was the trick, not the treat, for sure.
Also, just a reminder, Josie's working on that. We'll do the celebration more with the homecoming and the things, but don't forget at the end of October, Vital is going to be 70 years. So we celebrate our 70-year anniversary here by the end of the month. So more to come with that. We do want to pass on. We've had some challenges with family and medical and different things that have happened on here. Charles, just want to pass on Brady's family and our thoughts and prayers. I know that's a quick change in life, things that happen like that. We had other folks too that are around. Please pass on to that. We also have with Lupe, you know, tonight the viewing, tomorrow with the services, and also over at Fort Sam. So
What's the time for the funeral?
the
service?
the service here is at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, 9 to 11. Right after that is when they're going to go ahead and roll. I think the service over in Fort Salmon is at 1 o'clock.
And that's a prevailing word.
Prevailing word on the other side of I-5. That's correct. That is correct. So please, and there's other families too. You know, please make sure that we kind of keep everybody in our thoughts and prayers. Just challenging times right now. But we gotta,
Josie and her whole family.
and I wanted to mention lastly, you know, with Josie, you know, she's her and her family, they're doing good. You know, a little bit up and downs, but they're doing good. Appreciate all the phone calls. She's told me that she's been getting a lot of phone calls from different people just checking up on her. That's good. We need to go ahead and make sure that we kind of keep it in our forefront. We're looking forward to getting her back. If everything lines up correctly, hopefully by Thursday, Friday of this week, she'll be back. And then we can press on with some of the things that we need to do. I know she's ready. I know she's ready to come back, without a doubt.
Maybe if some of the phone calls slow down, she can sleep a little.
We'll try to do that.
She does need to sleep.
I appreciate that, definitely. Anything else that we need to share? If we don't have anything else to share, it's 9:19. If I can go ahead and get a motion for us.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, got a motion. Second. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Red circle around, we're out here at 9:20.
Not the worst one I've ever been.